Day 2 of testimony for the man accused of shaking an infant to death is over. 35-year-old Travis Wiley is charged in connection to an infant's death in January of 2018. The infant was just under 3 months old at the time. WGEM's Dylan Smith was in the courtroom today. So Dylan, what exactly did we learn?
Well, Daniel, medical witnesses say the cause of Ariana Hoffman's death was a closed head injury. The manner was homicide. The afternoon was taken up completely by medical experts who performed Hoffman's autopsy, and several pictures from the autopsy were shown in the courtroom. Dr. Julia Scansellberry assisted in the autopsy, and she says there were no fractures or bruising to the infant's body, but hemorrhage was all over the inside, around the brain, around the optic nerves of the eyes. She says there was only one conclusion.
On a microscopic level and additional testing, the diffuse axonal injury, the subdural hemorrhage, the optic nerve sheath hemorrhage is more indicative of inflicted trauma in this particular scenario, not in a zone, because it could happen if you were in a car accident or something like that. But I didn't have that. And in the absence of a proper explanation, knowing that she can't do this herself is probably in the hands of another person.
Dr. Peter Williams, who actually did the job of performing the autopsy and testified thereafter, Scansellberry said medical records were completely negative for any type of infection or underlying condition that might have caused the death. The manner of death, again, both doctors said was homicide. Daniel?
All right, thank you, Dylan. And Special Prosecutor John Barnard will likely rest his case tomorrow. We have an in-depth look at the trial on WGEM.com.